James Lupton for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to join on Zoom this evening with Jordan Gill. Jordan, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, mate. Let's talk first of all, how have you been dealing with lockdown? Obviously, I know you're back in the gym very recently, but before you're allowed back in, how was you taking over?
Really good. Trained harder than ever. Been working really hard. Luckily for me, my dad was my amateur boxing coach, so as soon as we had pads and gloves in the house, had body bag, I got a bag up in the garden, and we cracked on. We're lucky to get some good training equipment, weights wise. You can run anyway, so all my training was covered from S&C to boxing, and Dave was on the FaceTime on the end of the phone, pointing out my mistakes and improving me.
And like I said, you've been back in the gym the last few days. How's it been? Also been like to get back in there in familiar surroundings?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been nice to actually do my footwork on a ring canvas, because I've been doing it on the patio outside, and the calves, mate, my calves just shot to bits because obviously it's such a hard surface like concrete. But yeah, it's nice to be on a ring canvas. Feels good to be back. Good back in the gym, back on the pads with Dave, back flowing, and back feeling good.
Is it currently just you and Dave? And are you doing one-on-ones, or are all the boys back in there yet?
It's me, and then he's having Hopi in as well. So he's training me and he's training Hopi. So yeah, that's the only two that he trains anyway. So we're always sort of socially distancing. It's only a small group of us, so isolating by ourselves anyway. During training camp, you're always isolating anyway. So it's not much different for us.
I bet Dave's loving it, being able to get back in there and coach face to face rather than FaceTime.
Yeah, I think he was itching to get back in the gym, and rightly so. I think the whole country are itching to get back to normal, and especially in boxing, everyone was begging to get the fights back on and get back in the gym. So we're finally back in the gym, and we can finally start doing one-to-ones and improving.
Absolutely. I just wanted to touch on a little while ago we spoke, and you a bit under the weather. You had a bit of an illness going on. You was out of the gym for a while because of it. How are things now? Is everything all health-wise okay for yourself now?
Everything's bang on for me now. Everything's brilliant. I had a thyroid condition back in the last year, so it sort of started October, and it wiped me out until December. So I boxed in Italy in September in a 6-round comeback fight, which was the idea, was to push on and bounce straight into a big fight in December. And the thyroid condition, wiped me out for that. So it was a long time getting my body right and getting my everything back to normal, getting everything working the way it should do. But I finally done it, and I've been good ever since. I managed to, because it's an autoimmune disease. It's actually called thyroiditis, and it basically meant that my thyroid flared up, which sent my body like sky high. My heart rate was through the roof. Everything was running 10 times faster than it should have been. And like, if anybody knows anything about thyroid conditions, it really messes you up. All your organs and just your bodily functions are just messed up. So and because obviously it spikes so high, at some point it's got to crash. So it crashed, so I went from overactive to underactive, and my body's like leveled out now. So I've had my last test was last week, and everything's come back perfect. I've got a great team around me. I made sure I got the best on a job. My nutritionist, Scott Robinson, made sure that I got to see the best private doctor in the country. So I had to travel all the way to Milton Keynes. I spent a lot of money on getting the best care possible, and hopefully it'll pay off this year.
Absolutely. And I'm assuming that you couldn't train or do anything during that period. So how frustrating was that for you to not only not be able to train during that, but also, as you mentioned, to get back to where you was afterwards?
Yeah, it's very hard. If anybody knows, like, going on our week's holiday is hard, let alone having however many weeks out of the gym. And I think I was just itching to get back. I was luckily for me at the time, it was probably come at the best time for me, because although I was itching to get back into big fights, boxers have personal lives as well, and in my personal life, I had things going on, like I was getting married in December, so you know, I agree. I actually agree. I was desperate to fight in December, and all the way up until December, I didn't know what was happening with thyroid, this and that, and I was getting tested, and it was through the roof. And then, but they'd said, well, the only show we can get you on is on the 12th of December. You get married on the 14th, and the fight's in Spain. I still agreed to it. I still said yes. I thought I'll fight in Spain. I'll fly home the next day, and I'll get married. Then I said my missus is gonna have to deal with me having a black eye, or having swollen hands and not being able to put a ring on, and that was that. But obviously, it got taken out of my hands. But one thing I would say is that I got myself in great shape. I was meant to be fighting on 28th of March. So another setback come when Boris Johnson called lockdown, and that show was cancelled. That was the first show to be cancelled. And what got me back in like training, obviously I had a little steady week where I didn't really do much, but I was straight back training during the lockdown at home. And I think the fact that I was missing the gym so much over December and November, the time where I had my condition, it sort of motivated me, because I know that feeling, like I got that hunger back to look forward to training and look forward to fighting. So that hunger's there. So I've done pretty much a 6-month training camp already, and we're looking forward to fighting.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you back in the ring as well. It sounds like it's going to be Reece Bellotti on Eddie Hearn's back garden fight camp. How much can you tell us about that? Has there been talks for that? Is it close from your end? What's your perspective on that fight?
Oh yeah, well, I was wondering actually today, this morning when I knew I was doing an interview, I was wondering whether I'd be able to say anything or not. I was going to ask Dave, but I forgot. But I've just seen on IFL TV they've put out an interview with her, and he's basically said the fight's done. So the fight's done.
Fantastic. Talk about Reece, obviously. So he will be your next opponent. What's his strengths and weaknesses? We've not seen him for a little while. He's gone a sort of bit under the radar since losing British title. And what do you see in him that you can exploit?
I think he's a very good fighter. I think he's better than what people give him credit for. He's crafty. He's a good body puncher. He's got world-class power. I think that's one attribute that he's got that's world-class, is power at featherweight. Out of 14 wins, he's got 12 knockouts, and he puts people out. I'm expecting a hard fight. He's a good British level operator. And I think he's got a British title in him. I think he lost on points to Ryan Walsh in a good fight, but I think against anybody else he probably could win a British title. So I'm expecting a hard night. And as far as exploiting goes, I don't know. I always seem to get in the ring and take it as it comes. I'll be just preparing myself to make sure that I'm the best version of myself possible. And I'm confident that when I'm in the best shape possible and in my flow and in the best mindset possible, then I'll beat anybody in the division.
Obviously, it sounds like it's going to be in, they say, Eddie Hearn's back garden. It's going to be sort of out by Matchroom HQ. What's that going to be like? Obviously, no fans. What are you expecting from that?
I don't know. It's a good concept. I like it. It's going to be outdoors. The thing they said July 25th. So I've been told July 25th. And it's going to be in Eddie's garden. So we're all going to be going to the fight camp that week. We're going to have to be tested and separated. Whoever comes back positive and negative gets obviously separated. And if you test negative, then you can move into the fight camp. And then that's where everybody's quarantined together. You have to obviously test negative, and then everyone's going to stay there fight week. I'm not sure the ins and outs of it. I don't really ask too many questions. And I just feel lucky to be on the first show back, because 99% of boxers in the UK are sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and I feel privileged to be in a position to be able to go straight into fights. Or can thank my manager, Dave Cole. He's done a great job in saying, you know what, you're ready, go and fight, because everybody would love to be on this first show back. And well, actually, from what I'm hearing, Matchroom are saying that a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I need a bit more time." You think you've had 10 weeks in lockdown? What better time to get yourself in shape? So I don't know. It's going to be weird because there's not going to be no fans. But I don't think it's going to affect me. I think there's still going to be like, you still know you're in a good fight. You're still going to have them butterflies there, or that little anticipation where you want to look good, because you know the whole world's eyes are going to be on this show, and it might just be Eddie sitting there on his lawn with his tea and biscuits, but you know deep down the whole world's watching, and you've got to put on a good performance.
You mentioned this. Some people are saying they're not ready, they need more time. And as you say, you've had 10 weeks to do nothing but train. Does that separate the dedicated and professionals to the rest?
In a way, yeah, but then in a way, everyone's at different levels. So for me, I know in lockdown, I knew that when we come back, it's going to be British versus British. I knew that I'm not a person that requires pay-per-view money to fight. So I'm going to be top of the tree, top of the list to call on, to say, oh, you'll be in a good fight. You don't have to pay you millions of quid, and you're going to entertain the fans. So I knew I was going to be top of the list, and for other people, it wouldn't be in the same position. So like Anthony Joshua, if he didn't want to train, he knows he's a pay-per-view fighter, and he's going to fill out arenas. So ideally, they'd wait until when they can fill arenas for him to fight. And on the other end of the scale, you know, if you're not signed to a big promoter, you're say signed to Steve Goodwin and you're fighting at York Hall every 3 months. You know that small hall shows aren't going to be running for a long time. So really, that motivation probably won't be there. But I think everybody talks about camps and fight camps, and I think what separates people is not having camps, is just training to get better all the time. And I feel like I get up in the morning and I have my breakfast, I just go to the gym and I do my boxing because it's my job. It's just what I do. It's part of my daily routine. And every day I go into the gym and I think, right, today I'm going to work on this. Today I'm going to do that. Today I did every bit of work I did today was southpaw, just because I fancied it. And you know, I think that's what separates people, is the fact that some people train for camps and they put everything in for 8 weeks, when some people it's a lifestyle. And I think down the line you see people like Bernard Hopkins and Floyd Mayweather, they fought late into their careers and was making young fighters look ordinary. And I think the dedication level shows.
Absolutely. Also, I want to touch on, you mentioned it was going to be sort of British fighters, so domestic bouts were to be made. Obviously, as no one can fly anybody else in from other countries. Now, yourself and Reece Bellotti, it's a great fight. You know, both sort of at the same sort of level, and probably isn't a better fight to be made at the mattress table in your weight, to be fair. How much of a benefit would that be for the sport going forward, rather than seeing prospects fighting journeymen, to see prospects fighting other prospects?
I think it would be huge, and I think there's been for a long time, it's been a problem that people aren't really people want more money to fight these fights where they should be getting paid. But I mean, they should be in these fights all the time. You should be fighting like in these sorts of fights, like me and Reece are in these fights, because we want to be in them. I don't want to fight a journeyman over 6 rounds. I've fought journeyman for too long, and I weren't enjoying it. I want to be in the competitive fights. I want to, like, deep down as a fighter, you need to want to progress your career. So then basically Dave said to me, this pandemic is affecting the sport. So basically you're going to get 2 fights this year. He said that's all you're going to get. So you probably fight in July, and then you probably fight in October, November time. I said, well, if we're only getting 2 fights this year, we better make them the best fights possible to progress me as far as I can, because at the end of the year, I don't want to have boxed a 6-rounder and an 8-rounder, or a 6-rounder and a 10-rounder against people that aren't really going to get me up the rankings. I want to fight somebody like Reece Bellotti is a great first fight of the year. and then go straight into a big fight, and then be looking at the top fights by start next year. So I always think that you need to progress your career as quick as possible, especially someone like me. I'm starting to come into my prime now. I'm 25 years old, coming 26, and these next 5 years, you're going to see the best of me. And I'm excited to see. So I want to get up there as quick as possible. And I think you're going to see more people taking fights now just out of necessity, because people need to. Then they're not going to get on the shows because Sky, they're only having 5 fights to show. Sky are going to want the best fights possible, value for money, and they want the quality. So fights like me and Bellotti are quality, and it's going to become like the UFC, where everybody fights everyone, and whether you lose or win, if you're in a competitive fight, then you'll come again, and I think that's important.
If Eddie can put a show on 5 fights of the standard of you and Bellotti on all these domestic fights, how attractive is that? And how many new fans could that bring to the sport?
I think it's very attractive for the fans, and probably more attractive due to the fact that for 3-4 months, people have been starved of not just boxing, but of live sport in general. I know the Premier League football will be up and running by then, but boxing is probably a close second to football in the country, and that's testament to the job that Eddie Hearn and Match for Sport have done over the last 8 or 9 years. So I think it's going to be huge. I think everybody's dying to watch something, and in this current climate, people are like baying for blood. They want blood. So boxing is going to be top of the tree, man.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to throw some names at you from the featherweight division, but British names. So first of all, Isaac Lowe. Obviously, he's been fighting out in Vegas a lot on Fury's undercards. He had a draw with Ryan Walsh for his British title. What are your thoughts on Isaac Lowe? Is that a potential fight for you down the line?
I'd love that fight. I always say to Dave, come and get that fight. And that's the ideal second fight for the year. Someone like that. I think he's proven that he's above British level, probably for European level. So, I feel like if I do a good job on Bellotti, which I'm planning to do, then why can't we have that fight? So no, yeah, he's a good fighter. He can do a bit of everything. He's not one-dimensional, but I'm confident that I beat him. I feel like I'm a level above Isaac Lowe.
And the MTK Golden Contract final, Jazza Dickens, Ryan Walsh. Thoughts on those guys?
That's a great fight. You know what? I was praying that they fought each other in the semis, because I was there that night, and I was thinking, I just want to see this fight. Like, forget about me in the division. Forget about me, watching them to, study them. I was looking at them thinking, this is going to be a good fight. I was watching it as a fan. So, but yeah, I was a bit gutted they didn't fight. But I'm looking forward to that final, and I think it's going to be a great fight. Jazz is a very good, strong southpaw. Got a good boxing brain, plenty of ability. Ryan Walsh is the same, obviously a switcher, predominantly orthodox, but he's strong, tough, and I'm expecting a hard night from both. I can see Jazza winning that fight, to be honest. I know Ryan Walsh is favourite, or probably was favourite at the start of the tournament. I'm not sure if he is now, but I can see Jazza just being a bit too fresh for him, because I've seen, like, with all due respect to him, I think I've seen a little bit of a decline in Ryan Walsh in the last few years. I think maybe he's been stuck at British level too long, and like his legs don't seem as quick as they used to be. I don't know I know he probably struggles to make the weight now. He's getting a bit older. He's been at featherweight for years and years, but both great fighters.
I was going to mention that, actually. He's been at British level for such a long time. He's won it outright a long time ago. Can you stay at that level too long, and can you miss the boat to move up to European and onto world level?
I think, in a way, yeah, because I know he boxed for the European title against Dennis Sealand, didn't he? And he got beat that night, and it was a close fight. But I feel like, I know he's ranked quite high with the WBO, but you can stay at that level too long. And I think the fact that he's been so stubborn to not let that British title go, but you know, you have to give him respect, because you know he's not giving up. He said, if you're gonna take it off me, then come take it off me, and you got to beat me for it. So I take my hat off to him. I like him, man. I like his family, and they're good guys. And I like his trainer, Graham Everett is a good trainer out in Norwich. So I wish him all luck. And I think if he does beat Jazza, then he does deserve a world title shot. I know they're talking. I know the WBO will be vacant, obviously, when Shakur Stevenson vacates it, because he'll be going up to super feather. So I know there's talk of the winner of the golden contract fighting Michael Conlon for the vacant WBO title. So, you know, it's all there. Like, you couldn't get a better carrot to be dangled in front of you to beat somebody. So you imagine you're winning the golden contract, so you're going to be that champion. You're going to sign a 5-fight deal for however much money, and then you're guaranteed a world title shot in your first fight. So, you know, it doesn't get much better, does it?
Absolutely. But in that case, with Mick Conlon potentially facing one of those two guys, Jazza or Ryan, I know you say you feel Jazza beat Ryan, but who do you think's the harder fight for Mick Conlon?
Jazza. Yeah, I think Jazza's the harder fight. I just feel like he's dead tight. He's got a good all round game, and I think he's stronger than a lot of people think. Yeah, I like him. I like him. He's a good fighter.
And then again, still British fighters, but at the top of the tree, really, Kid Galahad and Josh Warrenton. So they've fought each other already. There's potential rematch later down the line. What do you see with those guys? And do you see those long term still at stand at the weight as well?
I think they're both good. They're very good fighters. It was a good first fight what they had. Be a good second fight, but I think Warrenton's on about fighting Kanzu in a unification before that. So whether they're going to have to pay Barry Galahad step aside money, I'm not sure. But you know, they're all good fights to be made, especially Warrenton against Kanzu. They're both got high work rates, got good engines. I know Kanzu in his last fight broke the record for the amount of punches thrown in a featherweight fight in a title fight. So unbelievable. It would be a great fight. I think I'd probably pick Warren to edge that one because he's smarter than people think. He sets things up very well. He's got long arms and his foot position is very good. He does set things up really well. I had some really good round sparring with Warrenton and got a lot out of it. So, you know, Galahad the same. I've sparred a lot of rounds with Galahad, and they're both good fighters. I think Galahad's very underrated. I think probably less so now since the Warrenton fight. But before that, I think there was a bit of an unknown at world level, and people will underestimate how strong he is. He's very strong, and he's got a lot of tricks inside. He's a very good old school kind of fighter, and I think he boxed Warrenton and boxed well. And what's impressive for me is the fact that after the fight, I'll be honest, I thought he lost the fight. I'll give it to Warrenton. But not by much, but I thought Warrenton won the fight. I thought if you're going to fight the champion in his hometown, you've got to win convincingly. And and even like scoring it neutrally, I thought Warrenton done enough to win it. I don't think Barry won enough and landed enough clean shots. But after the fight, in his next fight, when he boxed in Kell Brook's undercard in February, he boxed a live opponent, a dangerous fighter, in a final eliminator for the IBF again, which was ordered. And he stepped up the levels. He was good. He was even better in that fight than he was against Warrenton. And that was impressive to me for the fact that obviously he got beat, he come back, took his licks. All right, fair enough. It may be controversial. Some people thought it was, some people thought it weren't, but he steps it up again. And that's going to make for an interesting second fight, I think.
You mentioned there Barry came back from the loss and put in an impressive performance. And obviously yourself, you lost Noka, you came back. How hard is it, or how much determination does it give a fighter to come back from that loss?
I think it depends what circumstance you lose under, but when you get beat, it's like, oh man, that's that it hurts in your heart because you know, as for me, I knew I would beat that guy. I can beat that guy. I remember I watched a ringside documentary with Leonard when he lost to Duran, and he was like, man, I could have beat that guy. So it's frustrating and gives you that hunger and that drive because you know you have to prove people wrong because if you have a blemish on your record, people see it's not the end of the world, but people it'll always be there and people will always hang it over you. So you have to, in a way, go and prove them wrong. So you have to think, right, I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm going to get better. I'm going to fight this guy, all the better guys than the guy that beat me. And I'm going to beat them. I'm going to beat them in better fashion. And I can put my fingers up and say, fuck you, because I've done a good job. And that's what you have. That's the mindset it gives you because you have to level up.
Absolutely. Just very quickly back onto Josh Warrenton. Obviously, his fights with Selby and Frampton caught a lot of headlines. You know, two very good wins for Warrington. Has he shone a light on the division in Britain, especially?
Yeah, I think so. And you have to give him credit because he's not done it the easy way. He come up, won British, English, British, Commonwealth, European titles. He's won it all, and he started in small hall shows. So hats off to him. He's a nice guy. He's nice. I like his dad. His dad's funny, and got a good team around him. And I like his mindset. He's done brilliantly. And it has shone a light on the featherweight scene, but you can't do it without competition. So it's like I just mentioned Leonard. He wouldn't have been as celebrated as he is if he didn't have Duran, Hearns, and Hagler, because they're the four kings. So you're nothing without competition. So we're privileged to be in a division in Britain and the world, which is so hot because the featherweight division is arguably one of the hottest divisions in the world and Britain.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, Jordan, one last topic for you. Today, the ball seems to have started rolling with Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Absolute mega fight. What are your thoughts on that, and how badly do you want to see that?
I want to see it. It's a good fight. It is a very good fight, and it would be interesting to see how it plays out. I'd be probably interested to see the beforehand, everything that the lead up and the mind games, what Tyson Fury play with Joshua or vice versa. And I'd be interested to see how both those fighters approach that fight and how it's promoted, because it's without question the biggest fight in British boxing history, and it'd grow the sport so much in Britain. Obviously it's grown so much recently, but it'd grow it again. And I think it could only be good for the sport, whoever wins. I think it'd be a great fight, but it's one thing saying, oh, we've agreed terms for purses, but it's another thing getting it signed and having a contract and getting a date and a venue and everything sorted. So, I don't hold my breath until I always say, until you're standing in front of your opponent, you don't know whether it's on or it's off. And it's like my fight in July. I could get to the venue that week, test positive, or my opponent test positive for COVID, fight's off, and I'd be left with all these training costs and another 3 months of my life wasted. So until it's on, it's never on, is it? So I'm looking forward to when they announce the date, when obviously Joshua will have to get through his mandatory. Tyson Fury's got to have one more fight with Deontay Wilder, which I think is pointless. And then next year, then they'll be able to get it on. So don't ask me now, because it's not even next year yet. We've still got most of this year left. Ask me in like December time.
I will do. Don't you worry. Jordan, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. All the best for July 25th, was it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks for speaking to us. Cheers, mate.
Take care.